And we continue at 2:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wings in New Mexico.
John, yesterday, Matt Mahan was joined by gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton at one of San Jose's tiny home villages. Matt Mahan posted the video and now is in a Twitter war with Gavin Newsom's press office.
Isn't everyone in a Twitter war with Gavin Newsom's press office?
They are very upset that Matt Mahan didn't give Gavin credit for something that was done with city money that had nothing to do with the state of California.
I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I've ever been familiar with anyone as bitchy as the guy that runs Gavin Newsom's Twitter account.
Is he?
Yes.
Although this wasn't him, this is one of the others. He's got a whole team. As to, are they being paid by the state or his campaign? Nobody knows, but boy, are they special.
Remember in the 1980s when it was overweight women in particular, they used to go down to Hollywood Boulevard or Venice Beach or on the boardwalk in Laughlin or Las Vegas on Las Vegas Boulevard, where they would sell the T-shirts that would say, "I can go from zero to bitch in 4.5 seconds." I picture Izzy wearing one of those nightshirts to sleep every night. Wouldn't that be on brand?
If you happen to be doom scrolling on social media, look at Matt Mahan's feed and the back and forth going on between the mayor of San Jose and one of Gavin Newsom's Twitter lackeys.
Life's a bitch, and so is Izzy. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Well, we know that the state of California tries to squeeze every penny they can out of you, and they do it a variety of ways. They do it through taxes, they do it through fees, and they do it through fines. And some of the fines that they're now giving to you are fines that you don't even know are coming because the police officer never pulled you over. A meter maid never left a ticket on your windshield. They just say that you committed a traffic infraction and they mail it to you. And surprise, surprise, you owe the state of California money. But the question becomes, do you actually owe the money? Or is what they're doing not really totally enforceable?
That is the question being asked about red light cameras in Southern California, which some cities have actually stopped using these programs because, and this is true, they were costing more to administer than they were getting out of the fines. And that's when the fines were like $900.
And didn't San Diego get in trouble at one point because their cameras weren't even calibrated correctly?
This is what happens in most cities. The cameras go off wrong all the time. You would think it would go off as someone speeding through a red light, but what happens is you're caught in awful traffic. You're caught in an intersection at a yellow light that is turning red, and it flashes you.
Which, of course, is an illegal ticket.
So let's see if there's any way to get out of these things. Here is a report from CBSLA.
All right, let's talk red light cameras. They're all around Southern California, and some studies show they reduce the chances of accidents. But
no, they don't.
No, what they do is they increase the revenue that goes to the city, the county, the state, or whoever it is that's issuing them.
You could also argue it incentivizes people to speed up even faster when the light is yellow.
But the question of whether you have to pay red light camera tickets has caused confusion for years. Consumer investigator Christine Lazar is here with what you need to know. Christine, this is about 2 weeks too late for me.
Well, it's a question I get all the time. And if you got one of those tickets in California, you'll probably get a lot of conflicting advice. Some will say pay it. Others will tell you it's safe to just ignore it. So I went in.
I would love to see who gave that advice.
Wesley Snipes.
So I went in search of the facts.
Chris Cars says she's not the kind of driver who gets tickets. So getting caught by a red light camera in North Hollywood came as a shock.
You knew there were going to be sound effects with this story, right?
Of course.
So we saw this flash. After the light turned yellow, we were like, uh-oh, something's not going on here.
And the woman looks like a grandmother, not the type of person who's going to be just driving through a red light 10 miles over the speed limit.
We were like, uh-oh, something's not going on here.
She got another surprise when the ticket arrived in the mail.
It's $486.
That's really equitable.
Oh, yes.
It's $486. That's serious money.
Chris Cars paid a company called Ticket Snipers $179 to fight her ticket in court.
There's over like 250.
So you're still out almost $200.
Yes, but then you don't end up having to go to traffic school and you don't end up with any points on your record. I've done that before myself.
There's over like 250 photo enforced violation or camera intersections that are still active in California. So thousands of camera tickets a year we challenge.
Ticket Snipers founder Jorian Goes says he has had a lot of success.
Anytime a violation is issued electronically opposed to an actual physical officer, there's a plethora of issues that can arise. No human witness.
Well, again, if you go to fight that in court, who's standing up for the state? Because nobody saw you do it.
Just think about this for a second. If any time someone fights these tickets, they win, how is it legal for them to continue issuing them?
Arise. No human witness, no first-person testimony. They have calibration issues with the sensors, the cameras, and then also there is a non-uniformed declarant that looks over the footage that works for the camera company and the city.
So it's not even an officer sending you the ticket.
No. In what other aspect of life would this be legal for them to do? Because let's face it, if anyone who challenges the ticket wins, then the only people who are paying the tickets are people who are so busy they don't have time to fool around with that nonsense. So what this is it's a tax on the middle class.
That actually issues the violations.
Those issues have left drivers confused about whether they actually have to pay these citations. We reached out to the driver advocacy group, the National Motorists Association.
You Google it. Some say you need to pay them. Some say you don't. What do you say?
The state and the courts have really no mechanism to force people to answer their tickets or to pay their tickets.
Oh, that's interesting.
Ooh, they don't want to hear that.
If they don't answer the ticket, the only thing they can do is...
I mean, you got to think about this. We don't put people in jail for actual crime. Do you think they're sending out a bench warrant for someone who doesn't pay a red light camera ticket?
No, but here's the difference, though. Putting someone in prison for robbing someone costs them money. If they give you a ticket and you don't pay it, that also costs them money. If they can go after you to get more money so they can spend it themselves, they'd love to do that.
The only thing they can do is they can send it to a collection agency, and collection agency has no power over you. They can't send it to a credit reporting agency so it doesn't affect your credit.
And as anyone that's ever been under the threat of a debt collector before, you know to never, ever, 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 ever answer the phone for any number that you don't know.
CBS News California Investigates dug into why that is and tracked down this 2016 court case. In it, the three major credit reporting agencies reached a voluntary settlement with 31 state attorneys general, agreeing to stop reporting debt from certain fines, including tickets.
But you can just rip it up.
In effect, that's what a lot of people do.
There will be people who say...
This story is fascinating.
There will be people who say we shouldn't be telling people that they don't have to pay it because more people are going to run red lights.
I don't think that's the case.
No, they don't want you telling people they don't have to pay it because they're addicted to the money.
We shouldn't be telling people that they don't have to pay it because more people are going to run red lights. What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, the argument that we shouldn't tell people that what their legal rights are is kind of a specious argument. That's number one. Number two,
we should tell you when the state is taking advantage of you.
On what planet is that acceptable to do? Where if you were aware of your rights, you would take advantage of those rights and the state wouldn't get what they want. So we have to hide everything from you.
Most people need to realize that, yes, there are some dangerous drivers out there, and yes, they do deserve a ticket for running a red light. However, the vast majority of these tickets are given for Mickey Mouse violations. They're a fraction of a second violation.
You know you're going to get sued if you say that.
Yeah, Disney is right on top of everything.
They're a fraction of a second violations that nobody can even see with the naked eye, which the violator wasn't even aware that they actually committed the violation, or they're slow rolling right turns in the middle of the night, nobody around, nobody's put in danger. It's sloppy driving, but it's certainly not worth a $500 ticket.
So why do they still give them?
Well, because a lot of people just simply pay them.
That's the problem.
Oh, yes. If you think you're supposed to do something, if you think you're supposed to pay something and you're a middle-class person, you were taught from a very early age that you just do it. The deadbeats are the ones that don't pay their bills. The functioning middle class pays their bills. This is a middle-class tax.
We asked the Los Angeles Superior Court the consequences of ignoring a red light camera ticket. The court confirmed in an email that if a litigant fails to appear in court or take any action by the appear by date on the citation, the case proceeds to the collections vendor. But it's a good idea to check with your local court's policies and be aware that responding to a red light citation will change your status in the system.
So you shouldn't even respond to it.
Boy, we're learning lots of valuable information today.
It's like jury duty in Los Angeles County.
If you decide to answer, then you subject yourself to the jurisdiction of the court, and then you have to actually answer, and you actually have to go through the process.
Chris chose to fight her ticket, and she won.
Sure enough, the ticket got dismissed, which was significant for me because it was $486. I can definitely say it was worth it.
Now, this month, a new California law went into effect that could change the way red light camera tickets are issued. It gives cities and counties the option of classifying these violations as civil rather than criminal offenses, which makes them easier to enforce. And
Is that even legal? Because if it's civil, isn't that like a lawsuit? That's a money thing.
They're going to sue you for being a bad driver, which means this state is about to never be in a deficit again.
And since a court doesn't have to prove you committed a crime, the owner of...
If it's a civil penalty, all of a sudden, all of our criminal justice reform that have made these things such paper tigers doesn't apply because the state's going to sue you for being awful at driving.
Meanwhile, they let the violent people do whatever they want.
The owner of any car caught running a red light on camera would then have to pay a $100 fine, and it would not add a point.
It's not $100.
No.
They start at $100. Then they add on all of these nonsensical fees. There are so many fees, and a lot of the fees have nothing to do with the criminal justice system. There was a story that CBSLA did a few weeks ago. One of the fees that is added on to your insanely expensive traffic ticket is for like the Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Well, you know, it's funny because you talk to people who take their cars down to Mexico. A lot of fishermen that go down to Baja, a lot of people who have family down there, whatever. And when they get pulled over by the Mexican police are corrupt. And so what you have to do is you have to pay the bribe. They don't send you anything in the mail. They tell you how much they want you to fork over, and you either do it or you go to jail. That's how it works down there. And it's crass, and it's a corrupt way to run a government, but that's how they do business down there. But when you think about it, how is this any different? Where it's not even a person that's issuing you a ticket. We're not even sure that you actually did what we're claiming that you did. And then we tack on all of these fees that go to God knows what, and we run up the score to the point to where the ticket for a victimless crime, if it's a crime at all, is $400 or $500. How is that any different from what they do in Mexico?
And it would not add a point to your license. But again, a city or county would have to opt in. So it's definitely a talker. A lot of people are like, I don't know what to do. I will say that if you...
It's a real radio term. That one's a talker.
That if you ignore the ticket, which again, you can do pretty much without penalty, if you happen to show up in that same courtroom, right? So if LA City gives it to you and then you show up in Superior Court, the judge could see that you had that on your record.
That's why I just wanted to be a good little student
Citizen and pay
it.
Well, the city of Culver City thanks you because they just got their money.
Culver City didn't need that money.
No. No, there's not as much waste, fraud, and abuse there as there is in LA.
There you go. Do you have to pay a red light camera ticket? Kind of, but no.
I'll tell you, I know that they talked to one of these law firms that specializes in fighting traffic tickets. And when I was told about these types of law firms, I didn't believe it at first. Where if you just pay them a fee, which is usually under what the cost of the ticket is, they pretty much guarantee you that you're going to win because there are so many tricks that they can use to defeat the government in court. And the government's case has so many holes in it. If you just take the time to find them, you can beat almost anything regarding traffic tickets. And then I got a traffic ticket. I was driving home the back way from Las Vegas. It was before a show one morning. I was in the middle of nowhere, got pulled over. I don't even think it was by CHP. I think it was by a park ranger or something. Got the ticket, was in a foul mood, and a friend told me about one of those law firms. And I thought, this has to be a scam. There's no way this is real. And I hired one of those law firms, and I'll be damned, but I beat the ticket. And then I got another one, and I think I'm going to do the same thing.
There's a recurring theme here, isn't there, Johnny?
Oh, listen. When I was doing Morning Drive, when I was producing Doug McIntyre's morning show, and I was living in Orange County, and I was driving in on the 405 freeway every single morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, I got so many tickets, speeding tickets. I got a letter from the California DMV telling me I was in danger of having my license suspended. I wish I had known.
It's days like today that I'm so glad that we live in different counties.
I got one ticket right outside the radio station. Do you remember that one?
No, tell us that one.
That was when they alleged that I was driving on the wrong side of the road, which I know sounds awful when you say it, but it was one of these instances where you had to turn left on Washington into the radio station or the street that the radio station's on. And there's a double yellow line and there's enough room for exactly 2 cars. So if there's 5 cars, you can either wait in the line where you're not really in oncoming traffic, but you're technically on the other side of the road. I did that and I got lit up. But now that I know about these law firms, I'm never paying another ticket again.
I think I'm going to send this segment to sales. How are we not doing live reads for these firms?
They really do work. I don't know if all of them work, but the one that I used did. If you want to weigh in on what you just heard, give us a call at 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. According to CBSLA, if you're given a ticket for running a red light and the ticket didn't come from a uniformed police officer but came from a red light camera and you don't pay it, there's not really much that they can do to you. They also said for most of these tickets, if you go in and actually fight them, you're going to win, and it's not going to be a close call. I know many of you have a lot to say on this. If you do, we would love to hear from you at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. And of course, if you want to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. And Randy, you and I are going to Long Beach.
How exciting is this? We are heading back to Gladstone's in Long Beach on Friday, February 6th from noon to 3. It is another one of our favorite venues to do a live broadcast from. Love going to Sherman Oaks. We love going to Long Beach. We'd also love to be doing a live broadcast in the Bay Area. Hint, hint. Come enjoy the great food, good vibes, and a fun afternoon by the water at Gladstone's in Long Beach as we are there to have a wonderful Jimmy Buffett Friday. We'll also be joined by our friend Susan Shelley from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association. She'll be there to tell you more about your taxpayer rights and protecting Prop 13. The courts have made it easier for you to raise your taxes. Come by and sign the petition to save Prop 13. The deadline is February 17th, so if you've signed it, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors. Because if Prop 13 goes away, if they find a way to truly jack up your property taxes, I may actually have to move to New Mexico. Come hang out with us, grab a bite, and be part of the broadcast. It's the John Phillips Show live at Long Beach, at Gladstone's in Long Beach, Friday, February 6th.
Let's go to Scott in Rancho Cucamonga. Scott, hello.
Hey guys, how you doing? Great show. You make me laugh every day. Hey, so yeah, I've been listening to you today, and I thought those red light cameras went away. But I wanted to tell you about 15 years ago. My wife at the time was a teacher in Moreno Valley, and she got a red light ticket. And the teacher she worked with, her husband's a police officer in Moreno Valley. And she said, throw it away. They can't enforce it. And I was a little skeptical, but we did. And then probably a year or two later, I got one in Montclair, and I threw it away, and nothing ever happened. And I read up that they couldn't enforce it, and I thought they got rid of most of it. I know they brought them back, but I think they got rid of it for a long time after that.
I thought that they did too.
Back,
because if I remember correctly, and this is a while back, there was a big scandal in San Diego because the cameras were not calibrated correctly citywide. And that called into question every single ticket that those cameras issued in the second largest city in the state of California. And then again, if my memory serves me right, they got rid of the cameras after that because it just became a liability for them.
Yes, and I do kind of remember that story. I remember San Diego. I do remember the police officer saying they can have a picture of you. They still can't prove it's you, even if it's your car. So that was the excuse we got. But yeah, nothing ever happened when we threw two of them away. And so,
well, the argument has to be weak if they lose every time someone challenges it, which was in that report that we played from CBS 2. If they lose every time it goes in front of a judge, then why even bother issuing those tickets other than you're counting on people to not contest them and to just pay it?
True. And I think, didn't the reporter say that most people will just pay them?
Yes.
And we might have too, if we didn't know that she, the person that she worked with, the husband was a police officer. And then, I did kind of read up on it, but I'm very positive, like 10 years ago, they got rid of them because of a lot of issues. And now I think I heard, you would know, but yeah, I think I heard within, the last year or two, I hear more and more in Northern California that they brought them back. But,
well, now they appear to be back with a vengeance.
Yeah. So if you get one, don't pay it.
All right. Thanks for the call, Scott. I appreciate it. Let's go to Dale in Long Beach. Dale, hello.
Hello. I got one a couple years ago in Garden Grove. I paid it, and I went to online traffic school for $5, which was pretty good for a deal. But I'll never go to Garden Grove and spend any money ever again. I'm boycotting that city.
Well, my hometown appreciates that. Thank you for the call, Dale. Let's go to Morris in Hollywood. Morris, hello.
Yes, first of all, the red light camera that was shown on television is at the one at Tahunga and Chandler, North Hollywood. Now, City of Los Angeles red light cameras for the most purposes is non-functional. They did away with it, but not MTA. MTA currently is functional where they'll write you a ticket, but there is a way of getting out of traffic tickets, period. It's called change of venue. I don't know if you ever heard of that before. Immediately when you get pulled over by a peace officer, you're going to tell the officer, I want to change your venue. What primarily that is a different courtroom. You want to go to the farthest courtroom away, because if yours is the only case going to that courtroom, usually the officer does not show up, especially on an infraction. They don't show up, and the case is dismissed. By law, an officer has to be there. to present the violation on the citation. All right. And second of all, if your vehicle has commercial plates and you don't have your personal name on the license, on the registration of the vehicle, that is going to be dismissed, especially if it's listed under a corporation. So there are ways of getting out of the citation, and that's just another racket that got going. So, but as far as City of LA, they've done away with the red light camera tickets except MTA. And the one that is at Chandler and Tahunga, North Hollywood was the MTA ticket because the train over there, the buses and the train they have going at the subway station. So that's why that's active there. And but there's another MTA red light camera, Oxnard and Woodman there, that is non-functional. Right now they're building an overpass. So that doesn't flash at all. So it depends where you're driving to. Some work, some don't work. But in reality, you really don't have to pay it. Just take the ticket and throw it away. They don't do anything about it. They really can't even prove it in court. Very difficult to prove unless they got a good photograph of you. Even then, the officer doesn't even show up. So for all you listeners out there, stop throwing away your money. You give enough money in taxes, and that's So it's just a more way of generating a revenue. And enough is enough of this.
Well, I would imagine that what you just described is probably what a lot of these law firms that specialize in fighting these things do, where they ask for delays and they hope that the cop is on vacation. They change the venue. They ask for more information regarding the calibration of the gun, if it's a speeding ticket, those sorts of things. And they just make it a pain in the ass and a lot of work. And if you do that, eventually something's going to break your way and the ticket's going to be dismissed.
If you should get a speeding ticket, there is a way of getting out of most speeding tickets. Go have your speedometer calibrated. Because if you go to court and you say, I wasn't speeding, your speedometer could be off. In the same token, you ask for the calibration of the patrol unit or the Mary Queen motor officer. All right, ask for their calibration, and usually they don't have it. And you say, in the interest of justice, I want this case dismissed, and usually the court has to dismiss it because the officer has to present the calibration certificate on the patrol unit, and usually they don't have it. So you have to ask for that, and the case at that point will be dismissed. But if the officer should show up, if they ask for a continuance on the matter, you want the case continued, maybe the next time they don't show up. If you get a fix-it ticket, the sheriff charges a fee to have your fix-it repair certified. CHP does not. So if you get a fix-it ticket, City of Los Angeles, LA County Sheriff, take it to a CHP office, and there's no charge for that. And usually they're charging like $45 now to sign off the fix-it ticket. It's another racket. So there's a way out of that. So most tickets can be done away with if you know what you're doing with it. And the ones when you go and they fix a ticket, they have these lawyers, that's a bunch of rubbish. Most of them, when they go to court, they plead guilty. You might go to court yourself and plead guilty and not give them the several $100s to appear in court. They usually don't fight it. And that's just another racket. So you can do it yourself. But the best thing to do, if you get pulled over on an infraction, the first thing you tell the officers, you want to change your venue, you want to go to a different courtroom, you want to go to the farthest courtroom way, such as if you get a ticket in Los Angeles, you want to go to the county seat, Long Beach. CHP, if you get a ticket in the city of Los Angeles on the freeway, you want to go to Norwalk. And usually they're not going to show up. It's too far away. They don't have any other cases, and they get paid. They're guaranteed time and a half of 4 hours. So they're going to waste the day over a seatbelt or a cell phone ticket, and on an infraction, they're not going to show up. And so you can get out of it that way. And most people don't know that, but that's a way of doing it.
All right. Thank you for the call. Great advice. I appreciate it. Let's go to Albert in Pasadena. Albert, hello.
Hi, John. So, John, I could tell you that those guys, those attorneys who get rid of tickets, I used one of those. I was driving on the 57 freeway going north, coming from Orange County towards Pasadena or towards LA County, and I got pulled over for talking on the phone and speeding. I happened to be on the phone with a friend, and I said to her, hey, I have to call you back. I'm getting a ticket. So she said, do call me back. And when I got the ticket, after I got the ticket, I called her up, and I said, hey, yes, indeed, I got a ticket for talking to you on the phone and speeding. She said, send me the ticket, $250, and I'll get it taken care of. And I said, what are you going to do? She says, I have a lawyer. You pay him $250. He'll go to court. He'll get it dismissed. And sure enough, I don't know, 3 days after my court date, she called me up and sent me something from the court that said my ticket was dismissed. How he did it, I have no clue. Do I care? No.
Well, that is wonderful, and I'm glad it worked out for you. Thank you for the call. Let's go to John in Long Beach. John, hello.
Gentlemen, great show. Yeah, my daughter got one at Los Alamitos Boulevard in Catella in Los Alamitos, and they've had an active camera there for years, and I told her to fight it, and she just paid it, $496. Okay. Now, I have another story. I went to the county building in Norwalk to get a copy of my birth certificate because I couldn't find it, and I wanted to renew my passport. They had 5 spots that said 90-minute parking free. I parked in one of those spots. I went in there. I came out. I was out in about 35 minutes. I left. About a week later, I get a ticket in the mail that said I was parking illegally. Okay, now I called up the number on the ticket. They said you have to pay the $150 fine, and then you can dispute the ticket. You have to send us a letter certified in writing, and I did that. They sent me back and said, we can't dismiss the ticket because we talked to our parking enforcement officer, who I never saw. She said she tried to physically hand you a citation, and you refused the citation and rolled your window up and fled the parking lot and wouldn't take it from her, which was a bunch of baloney because I never saw anybody ever. I sent 4 letters to those people, every time to a higher person in the county, and guess what? I still had to pay the $150 ticket.
I wonder what would have happened if you went to one of those law firms that specializes in fighting these things. I wonder if you would have won.
It might have cost more than the $100. I think they just want to just wear you out and you just give up, which I did. Now, I have another question for you. I was shooting a commercial the day that the drop of the year came out on that Thursday, and I do not know what it is. I have to know what the drop of the year was, please.
Get out of my shop.
That's it.
That's the one I was going to vote for. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the 6th of February in my hometown of Long Beach. Can't wait.
All right. We'll see you there. And don't worry, we harvested your ballot. Let's go to William in Redondo Beach. William, hello.
Hello. I love you guys, by the way.
Thank you.
So in my early 20s, not the best driver, but I get a few tickets. But all you have to do is right before your due date of paying, extend it. You can extend it twice, which is 3 months each. Then you try to fight it, and that's 9 months, and the cop doesn't even know who you are.
Now, that is excellent advice. And again, I do think that is one of the tricks that these law firms use to beat it. They just drag it out forever. And at some point, the cop doesn't show up, or they don't remember, or they don't show up prepared. And that's all she wrote. You win. Thank you for the call. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Here's one that comes from a listener that I'm going to label as anonymous because he's given us some inside info. Hey guys, I retired from a state law enforcement agency and wrote a ton of tickets, mostly for speeding. I spent 7 years in the LA area, but most of the speeding tickets I did were in the San Joaquin Valley. The courts have implemented a procedure where the violator could plead not guilty and request a trial by declaration, which means I had to write a report and submit it to the court and not get paid overtime for it. So I wouldn't submit them, and the violator would be found not guilty. Some of the officers I knew wouldn't show up for court because they didn't want to testify to a chicken-ass ticket.
Well, if you're a police officer, my guess is you don't want to spend your time hanging out at a courthouse. As anyone who's ever served on jury duty knows, when you go to a courthouse, it is a great big pain in the ass where the parking is never convenient. The buildings are always super ugly. The lighting is awful. You hang out in the hallways most of the time with every loser on planet Earth. I don't know what it is about. Well, I do know what it is. They're there because their friends and family members are being charged with crimes, or they're being charged with crimes, or whatever. They're testifying in a case because one of their dirtbag friends did something they shouldn't be doing. And you walk around the courthouse, whether you're in the hallways, the bathroom, the assembly room, whatever. And everyone there has so many piercings on their face, they look like they got attacked by a stapler. When I was there, there was a woman, no joke, who had a tattoo on her skull. She looked like the female Bam Bam Bigelow. And how did I know that she had a tattoo on her skull? Because half of her head was shaved. Of all of the things that you could be doing with your time, hanging out at a courthouse is not something I would put at the top of my list. And my guess is if you become a police officer, you become a police officer for a variety of reasons. You want to help people. You want to be out in the community. Maybe you like being outdoors. You like doing athletic things, those sorts of things. Sitting around for a judge that's perpetually an hour and a half late around that population of people is not something that any of them want to do.
Not to mention the food options at the courthouse, John.
Oh, my God. The food options. The only thing I could have for lunch, I had two options for lunch. I had a Del Taco across the street that looked like it had bullet holes in the wall. And the other option was Applebee's right next door, where you would go and have lunch and all of the people who are testifying in your case are sitting at the booth next to you. So you just heard the person talk about something really gross for 3 hours, and now you have to eat your soup next to them. No, thank you. I will do whatever it takes to avoid going into a courthouse. And my guess is most cops feel the same way.